crypto community is so stupid that they keep taking their decentralized currency and putting it up on centralized exchanges and then being like, why me thefted? Why this happened?
Like, we don't have to say this about, oh, this is like a crypto community is stupid. Like, people are putting money in places where they can lose it, where there's risk involved for them to make some return. I think that's not necessarily an anti-crypto or a crypto community take, because go and ask Michael Saylor or Anthony Pompliano, Robert Breedlove, go and ask like all the especially Bitcoin people, right? They're going to tell you should self-custody your things. You should not hold something on a centralized exchange because then you have counterparty risk. He's essentially shitting on people who were probably not very knowledgeable and just lost a bunch of money to bad actors. Like, I think that's a shitty thing to do.
Welcome back, everybody, to our podcast. Today we have an interesting one, a lot of interesting topics, and we're going to pull the first one up right away, which is a little bit about creative language, creative flaming in video games these days. And Viper, I know you have a lot of opinions about that. So, yeah, we can see it right here. That's just a screenshot from somebody getting banned in World of Warcraft because they said, get pawned, you suck, and he would just spam that in the say chat. And also the other one would be right here, just calling people noobs after killing them, and people are getting banned for that. So I think now people start more and more, because there is a lot of heavier banning going on, a lot more strict moderation in the language in video games, so people are getting more creative with flaming. Have you experienced that personally?
No, I'm a very nice person who's never said a single negative word about anybody in the internet or when playing games.
Right.
I certainly don't care if people intentionally feed or anything like that in my team games. No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's like such a joke of a topic to some extent, because it's like okay, if you want to be like the serious take on this, right? Like, when has censoring ever worked out in history? Like, you just find some different word or some new word, and the next thing gets banned, and then the next thing. It's like, okay, I cannot say the mean word that was normal 10, 20 years ago when gaming was, I guess, a bit more niche, right? Okay, now I have to make up a new word, and then I have to say in-game afterwards. Okay,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I think it's
you think
more like hilarious. I don't know.
Yeah. So you think it doesn't matter? People are gonna flame anyway. But where do you draw the line then, actually? Because you wouldn't just draw any lines and just let everything be okay.
I mean, there's no line. There's no line to be drawn, right? Like, you can just like type, like, unless you have some AI level thing that can interpret and figure out everything that everybody says, which then inevitably is also gonna ban people who don't even say anything mean, or like don't even mean anything mean. Like, you can say, I don't know, your mother is surely alive, right? Like, obviously that person means that your mother is dead, or should be dead, or should die, or something like that. Okay, are you gonna ban somebody for saying your mother is surely alive? Like how's that gonna work out? I think it's like you cannot win this fight. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. We have a little clip here. I think you took the clip of somebody getting a little bit creative, and I think it shows our point a little bit better right here.
Yeah.
You are low master, XD. XD, and what are you? Depressed, gold, worthless, random, no money, no future, no girlfriend, ugly face, no jawline,
No jawline.
balding.
At first,
In game, of course, bro.
in game, of course, bro.
Yeah,
All right.
So that's like even on that's like on the more tame side, right? But it's like you're gonna ban someone for that? Like, no. Like,
Yeah.
would you type that in the game? Or there's a decent chance you actually get punished for typing that in the game, right? So if you type something in the game chat, you probably have to figure out more creative things to say. If you just, I don't know, voice
Yeah.
chat or typing on other platforms, like, I mean, what's going to happen to you?
I guess like ugly face would maybe get picked up, but something like no jawline, that's like already very creative. I don't think that would ever get banned.
Yeah, that's like something. I don't know. It's like I think it's just like a unwinnable battle. I think it makes you can argue it makes to some extent sense to like put some boundaries, right? Because you obviously don't want to just as a company be like, yes, our game is PG 12 or 6 or something, and people can just say whatever swear language they want to say in the game. It's like, sure, you obviously don't want to advertise that. Sure, that's obviously bad for your company. You have to have a policy that at least openly is against this, right? So you
Yeah.
have to enforce something to some extent. But can you actually enforce those things? Like, obviously, no. Obviously, you're not going to enforce speech bans on people.
But then again, I think it's probably way nicer for like, especially for kids. I guess I can see the point where you don't want to have those bad words in the chat, and if they get creative, many kids won't even get it. Like I didn't get that. Your mother is surely alive. Like that went right above my head, and like yeah, if they have to get creative, I guess it's good if there is not like yeah the worst kind of slurs and everything in the game. And yeah, definitely from a company standpoint, PR, that's a good thing. But yeah, it's gonna be always there, and I think it's part of gaming, right? And I think we had an incident in the Discord where some of our friends was flaming another guy. I'm not sure what he said, but the other guy came into the voice chat and he was like, "Dude, you called me this and that. I'm gonna sue you, and this is you cannot do that." And it's like, come on, dude. Like, imagine this is League of Legends. This is where we all come from.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The I'm gonna sue you take versus like anonymous people on the internet. That's like, I'm sorry, but like, good luck with that, guys. I don't know. Like that's probably gonna be a pretty rough one. Then like whatever. That's obviously not real.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think you essentially by like there's a line, right? There's a line of like how hard can you censor, and then how much more extreme do you make the stuff that people say, right? Like now we have essentially the flaming meta of saying like, I hope you get Graves queued in the head, right? And well, for people who don't know, Graves, League of Legends character that uses a shotgun to shoot at people. So
Yeah.
like it's like, yeah, get Graves queued in the head. That's like the new meta of like saying things that you were not allowed to say. Is that like a better or worse thing than when people said just like kill yourself in game, of course, you know? And
Yeah.
so you just like it essentially just gets worse to some extent as well. That's why I think this like World of Warcraft thing is like, I don't know what like get pwned, you suck, or I killed you, you noob. It's like,
Yeah.
come on. Like if you start banning like the guy didn't say, I don't know, I'm gonna, I don't know, hellfire you alive or something, right?
Yeah. And he literally said noob, new player, right? Like noob, like beginner.
I have
Like
no
it's
idea
not.
what that
It's
stands for, but yeah.
yeah. I think it's just that's for a beginner, new player. Like it's really not that bad, and it's gonna be interesting with. Of course, we're gonna be playing Illuvium. Illuvium is coming out soon, and I'm really curious how they're gonna do their censoring. And I think I've seen something where hell and sick were censored in a chat, and I was like, no man, that's ridiculous. You cannot censor hell. Like that gets really really weird. But yeah, the bottom line is you should censor, of course, the obvious stuff, but after that, you'll never get rid of it because people can dodge that, get around it, and it's just gonna be part of gaming culture. And in the end, you gotta tough them up and not get yourself affected by some random dude on the internet saying something to you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my take is like the company has to do enough that they're not held legally liable for anything, and they don't face any negative repercussions. Like that's just the realistic bottom line that you probably have to go for. And anything else is just like, I mean, in my opinion, you just don't accomplish anything, and probably just make it worse anyways.
Yeah. One last thing that I have to say about this too. I saw it in the Illuvium Discord chat where I'm not gonna name names, but they were bantering. They were like shit talking each other a little bit, and then one guy said something, and the other guy said, or like I don't know. He basically led into a your mother joke, and one guy said like, "Oh, that's what I did to your mother last night," and the other guy is like, "Oh, my mother is dead. Are you really gonna do that?" Like, and really went like full on hardcore flaming into the guy because he felt so personally offended by the mother joke. It's like, dude, obviously the other guy didn't know that your mother is dead. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that. And just chill the
Who
freak
knows?
out. Like
Who knows?
that.
Maybe
No,
that's
no,
why he
I
said it.
know the other guy, and it was just like friendly banter. Really, it was a funny joke, and the other guy flipped out because it actually affected him personally, and just spun it around like it was actually something that was intended to be very harmful and whatever. And even if it is on purpose, man, you gotta tough them up. You cannot like let random people on the internet affect you. Just brush it off and keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like a closed, like a Illuvium Discord as well, like a company Discord. Like obviously, it's like again the point of view. You need to be like respecting Discord TOS. You need to be respecting age appropriate things, and so on and so on and so on. So I think it's like reasonable to just look out for those things. It's like
Yeah.
again, it's like a private company essentially, or I guess like a public company. It's a DAO in Illuvium's case, right? But it's a Discord, right? So yeah, I don't know. I think that's a bit of a difference to like a gaming chat and so on. But
Yeah, for sure.
no, I
Uh,
don't know. I think how to put it. It makes sense to have stricter rules in like the Discord than in just like a public game, basically.
Yeah. And if you're really that sad about it, maybe you can just I'm trying to segue into the next topic, but maybe you can just talk to your AI friend and he can help you and you can
True.
have you can have a fun time there because we've seen more and more AI interactions online. And I think sooner or later we're not gonna be able to figure out if we're actually talking to a bot that's flaming us, maybe the AI flaming us, or if it's actually a real human, because how do you know if somebody on Twitter is actually somebody real or not?
It
It's,
doesn't only have to be Twitter. I know that that's not necessarily what you're segueing into, but especially recently, there's been more and more people who just with AI, right, like the VTuber kind of thing, but instead of the VTuber avatar that's projected, it's like a human avatar, right? And
mm,
it's pretty close to just like you can't really tell anymore, right?
yeah,
So
because they have a voice
that is
changer
certainly a
behind it
thing.
too.
Yeah, it's like gestures, mimic, voice, everything is like easily. It's like deepfakes essentially, right? Like that is already a thing, and you
Yeah,
can just make that real time and so on. So I don't know. I think who was it? Andrew Wall. I think at one point he tweeted, "You guys should make out safe words with I don't know, your inner circle people, so nobody can like scam you if you feel like something is off. Like ask them for the safe word, so that it's not actually like an AI scam." I was like, it's
that's
kind
that's a
of a
good
weird
thing.
take, but yeah, like
Yeah.
it does make some sense.
All right, let's come up with a safe word after this podcast. Gummiboot or something. That's a good point. And I remember I was like one day I was trying to have like make a crazy video. I was going up the mountain with my snowboard and I wanted to like ask random people to like open discs, and they were able, if they have a wallet, they would be able to actually get the stuff out of the discs, of the illuvium discs, like NFTs and stuff like that. But something was wrong and I couldn't have NFTs on my phone wallet. So it was just on the chairlift, like quickly messaging. It was Sazu and somebody else, I think you too. So to, hey, can you quickly send me 5 discs or something? And it apparently seemed so weird because I
Yeah,
knew him before,
yeah,
right? I was playing poker and everything, so I thought he would probably send it to me, like he wouldn't mind. But he thought I was like getting hacked, and then I was banned from the Illuvium Discord the same day. I lost my entry date. I was really sad about that. It can happen very fast.
yeah,
It could have
yeah.
been me. Better safe than sorry. It couldn't have. I could have been hacked.
Yeah. I mean, of course, right? It's like in crypto, usually it's like it's a weird thing if somebody messages you, "Yo, can you send me this?"
Yeah.
It's like 5 discs, right? It's like not much, but it's still like weird.
Yeah, and with the VTubers, like for now, the only thing how you can really find out if they have like quirky, not really like if they talk in a weird way, or you hear like breathing, or they have like some flaws. They have like or they have some if they basically make mistakes while talking, you kind of realize, oh, that's a real guy. But sooner or later, like every single aspect of it can be reproduced by AI, and at one point you're not going to be able to know anymore. Especially you have like now it's VTubers, but at one point you have the full, like you said, deep fake. And for example, with us, we have so many videos of our
you have like deepfake level stuff now, right? Basically,
yeah,
that's what I meant.
and we have like it would be so easily to make a deep fake from me because I have 500 videos on YouTube with my face from every side, every expression, every single word I say. Like it's basically there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, it's pretty scary actually.
it is. Yeah. I mean, also cool. One day, I think it would be cool. For example, if I die, I wouldn't even mind so much to like put out a writing that I say, "Oh, I give all my rights to my physical and voice and everything, and just use me as an AI." I think that could be cool. You live on as an AI. Also, really scary. I'm sure it's a very controversial idea. Would you like that?
You would want some people like that are really really smart to like live on essentially, right?
Yeah.
Or really entertaining and so on.
Yeah, Biden, Donald Trump, Elon.
Maybe he.
Man, he's almost gone. Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
we gotta move fast.
Did you see he needs people walking him now over the grass? He's like not able to walk alone anymore. It seems like. I don't know.
Is he still president? I'm sorry. I'm so far gone from all of that.
yeah. He still is.
Oh yeah, that's
Elections
funny.
are later this year.
That's good to know. Man, once he got elected, I was like, I'm not trying to be a hater, but yeah, some stuff is obviously a bit wrong. Like he's a bit too old. I think most people would agree. So yeah, I didn't tune into that anymore. At least with Donald, it was a little bit entertaining to watch some stuff to look at. We're getting a little bit political. I'm sorry. I don't know why I went into that.
I mean, I don't mind talking politics, but
I know you don't. I know you don't.
I think we didn't mean to make that the main topic, though.
No, not at all. First, we really wanted to talk about AI replacing human online interactions. And I think there's a lot of good coming with that. The bad, obviously, is like you at one point you won't know if you're talking to a robot or to a real person, which is kind of scary. But as long as they kind of have to, of course, there will be scams, but as long as they kind of have to say I'm a robot or I don't know, it would be also cool for like lonely people and stuff to have like a friend to talk to and to have like actual social interaction with an AI, which can be very valuable for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, it's like this two-edged sword, right? It's like you said, in situations it's probably going to be valuable, but then in other situations it's probably like pretty bad for a lot of demographical reasons in the world and so on, right? Like we already have people, I don't know, like going back into like inner circles in their homes. Birth rates are dropping tremendously. People have less relationships. People just less social overall and so on. So yeah, demographically, like the world is turning to the worse, I guess, and as the Western world at least. That like AI thing that would probably make that even worse if I don't know, instead of going out and taking the risk on the girlfriend that turns out to be Amber Heard and throws bottles at you and does more crazy shit, then you just take the AI or the robot or whatever in the future. Like I can see a lot of people just be like, yeah, I'm not gonna take this crazy risk, right? It's like amplifying social risks, certainly. So I don't know, I think it's like we can't stop it, right? There's gonna be good and bad that comes with it, and we have to like figure out like how to deal with it, how to move together with it, I guess.
Yeah. After all, it's gonna be a tool, right? AI, and it's not inherently bad or evil. It's what we do with it and how we utilize it. And in the end, both will come from it, and I hopefully more good, and hopefully also some regulations around it that, you know, the internet policy at one point I think will be an important thing because I don't know. Sorry. What was that? For example, I think it was in crypto and blockchain where people would, for example, pay just $1 or something to get into it, just so you cannot like make a million bots and do everything. So you kind of able to hold people accountable and kind of filter out that way people.
Yeah, that's like the thing that Elon. I mean, I think you said crypto, right? Like Michael Saylor, well, this is like one of the things he like kept talking about years ago. Just like use Lightning Network and make people send like a few cents fee of Bitcoin when you make a new account on Twitter, and you can beat the bot
Yeah, with
problem
Twitter,
because then
right?
it's not free anymore. Yeah, I mean, Elon is like now actually probably gonna do that, where you have to pay like a small fee or something. I think apps like WhatsApp and so on used to do that as well, right? Like you need to pay like some really small fee when you first installed it or made an account or something. So they could fight bots. I think that was a thing in the past. I don't know if it
Yeah.
still is.
I'm not sure, but it makes sense, right? This is a very
Oh yeah,
effective way to, like, this
it's the only way. Right?
instantly eliminates all the multi-bots. Maybe you have like a few elaborate bots where like one guy, instead of having 1 million bots, you have like 5 bots that you actually pay for that are really good and do a good job for him. But yeah, you're gonna get rid of 99% of the bots that way.
Yeah, I mean, you can put more limitations on it as well, right? You could say, okay, if you make an account, you only can like pose, I don't know, like more limitations that are between like you make an account and let's go, everything is unlocked for you, right? That's what a lot of video crypto games do. When I don't know, you unlink a wallet from an account, you cannot just link it to a new account the same day or something, or the same week, maybe even, right? Just put some time limitations on there that makes bots harder, makes like generating value with bots harder is the better way of saying this, right? Because eventually you will detect them, eventually you will ban them, and then they have to pay, even if it's a couple cent per bot, right? It just adds up to being less lucrative or not lucrative anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like a good thing. That's also what like Web3 games have to do, right? Like anything that has ownership in it or anything that has like digital value to it, I would say, because social media accounts have value to it, right? There's essentially for people that have a like internet persona name account, right, that like actually is relevant to them, that is you have there's accountability there because you don't want that account to be banned, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that is like a good thing to have accountability to some extent. And for the like super, I don't know, the bot thing, then yeah, you can beat that with a couple cents. The more difficult thing is still, I don't know, people who just want to be like online narcissistic, sadistic trolls, right? Like that you won't purge with that.
Yeah.
That you probably need like some future internet thing to actually purge that. Something like, I mean, people are talking about what like iris IDs. That's like actually a unique thing, right? And
Oh,
everybody can have like a unique online account and persona, and then you actually do have accountability if you get like banned on your iris ID. Like it's not that easy to make a new account. I mean, that's like the crazy thing, right? Like phone number is an easier option, right? Or the phone
Yeah.
number is probably the easiest option. Like it's still annoying to get a new phone number. Like you don't want those accounts to continuously get banned. That's what a lot of games do, right? Where you have to just link phone number. I think in some countries even need like social security numbers and things like that. So then it's even more difficult, and there's more accountability brought into the online world. I think those are fundamentally good things because accountability is a good thing. Like that,
Yeah.
that should be there.
Yeah. Because that's the reason why everybody is like, not everybody, but a lot of people are like shitty trolls on the internet because they're anonymous and they can
Yep.
just be that bully without getting actually smacked in the face for saying shit, what you would usually get often for things that people do online.
No,
There's
100%.
no consequence, and yeah, that would be
Yeah,
good to have.
it's just like this is like not even a thesis, right? It's just like a statistical, psychological proven thing, right? Like the way that society figured out how to deal with people who just like have those dark personality traits, right? Who have personality traits that go out like narcissism, sadism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. I mean, I guess sadism is only added like what recently used to be dark triad, and now it's considered dark triad personality traits. And in the real world, you deal with that people just have repercussions, right? Like, I don't know, maybe you lose your friend group, or you get fired from your job, or you get smacked
Yeah.
in the face, or you go to jail, or worse, right? Like something is going to happen if you behave really, really poorly and you act on, I don't know, those negative personality traits. But online, I don't know, you just make another anonymous account and you start trolling people in Discord or on Twitter or wherever again, right? So that's like that's a very active problem, right? And
Yeah.
I would like to see that solved, because I think that is like pretty bad, actually.
Yeah. And then there's actually people doing like real life crimes, like stealing money, hacking, and whatsoever. And there is no persecution behind it. And sometimes they're just, I think they feel bad and they're like, they stole 100 million for a company and they give like 50 back. And they're like, here, have 50 back. And like, I've seen that a lot in crypto where the hacker actually gives some money back. And it's like, all right, the people are actually feeling bad that it's so easy and stealing money. But yeah, I think we also will go that way. And I've seen it, like, there's a real life example where it, in Europe, it used to be able you just get a prepaid phone number and an anonymous. Sorry, I can't talk. Yeah, you just get an anonym phone number, and now you actually every time you have to register with your ID, with your driving license or passport or whatever. So you cannot get like trash numbers anymore that are not registered to your name. So you cannot do like cannot use it for some dubious shit or whatever.
I mean, then we are like, okay, that's the other relevant point to mention there, right? Like, you also have to be careful to not go to like some 1984 authoritarian, centralized, horrible place as well, right? Like, you cannot, you cannot just like give ultimate centralized power to some entities. That is also a very, very bad thing. So
Yeah, that's the thing.
yeah.
Who, if you have like this one internet account that's connected to your iris, so it's unique, who is actually saying what, who is drawing the line of what's okay and what's not okay? I mean, there's obvious things that are not okay, I guess, just like coming from real world laws and whatever. But I don't know. A lot of stuff people could get creative again, and then
Mhm.
where do you actually draw the line?
No, yeah, that's like it's a really difficult thing, right? Like, you don't want to have the single counterparty risk thing, right? Like, that's why you don't want to give like a monopoly of information or whatever to Google or YouTube or Twitter or like any other place, right? There should not be just one or like a couple centralized entities that just decide everything or can make whatever narrative be what people see or believe in, and so on and so on. And I don't know, like cash, for example, like we're talking a lot about crypto, right? Like, cash is a powerful tool, right? It's anonymous. You're anonymous where you spend your money. That's a really good thing. And yeah, authoritarian control and so on, people don't like that. That's the same with like the phone number. It's like, I don't know, like, I don't think like, I don't know, like, are you actually preventing like crimes from happening by taking people's driver's license and IDs when they buy a phone? Like, isn't like anybody who actually wants to do something legal like capable of just getting phones anyway? So I think that's,
Well, the SIM card is
there's
the
a lot to
problem.
do.
Like
Oh,
you
SIM
cannot
card,
get a
I mean,
SIM
yeah.
card which is not registered
Yeah,
on
I
your
mean,
name.
SIM cards, yeah,
Yeah.
phone numbers.
I guess it helps a bit, but then you still have like you can go into Wi-Fi and then you have online apps which can do the same thing, like Telegram or whatever.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's the other thing. Like, I'm fundamentally pro accountability online. I like figure out how you can do that, right? Like, how do you enforce that, and who draws the line, and how to draw? That's a difficult one. I
Yeah.
don't have an answer for that. And on the other side, though, I'm obviously, I don't know. That it shouldn't be that like a government or like in some company can just be like, let's delete this story from social media, or let's delete this account from social media. Like, we see that with Brazil a lot, especially recently. We've seen it in US in the recent years, where it's just like, YouTube, please delete this. Spotify, Twitter, delete. That's not the way, right?
We've
Like, that
seen that
obviously
with
shouldn't
Twitter,
happen.
like where I think it was before Elon, where like
Yeah, I mean,
special political candidates were banned.
Twitter,
And
Twitter, everything that Elon released, right? Like, Elon just started releasing what they did and what requests were sent to them. Like, please just actively censor these people and so on.
yeah,
Which
that's
is crazy.
That
No, I
is
mean, it's-
crazy.
I mean, it's like, didn't Brazil like essentially just block people's geo fence some Twitter accounts or Twitter overall? I haven't keeping up with that recently, but
Yeah. Now that's wild. And we have also seen it in, I mean, that's maybe far fetched to make that tangent, but we have seen it in gaming, for example, too, where, for example, Nick Merckx got his skins deleted because he said like a certain thing, I don't remember what it was. I don't know if you can. If that is.
I think I don't remember the exact situation, but I think it was essentially parents protesting against schools teaching children inappropriate or inappropriate knowledge, right? In a sense, like some woke bullshit, basically, right?
Yeah.
And the parents were like, "Yo, don't teach our kids this. We don't want this, right?" And then Nick Mert's comments was just like, "Leave the kids alone." When people were like setting up against the parents or something. This is like paraphrasing it. Like, don't quote me like, "Yo, Viper said this wrong." It's like, bro, it's like a while ago. I don't remember entirely, but I think it was like just leave the parents alone is what Nick Merck said, and then
Leave the kids alone.
Yeah, just like, said that.
Yeah, and that's basically censorship again, right? Because there is no definite right answer to that. There is both sides of it, and I think both have somewhat of value. And I see that a lot of people are very die on the hill for either side of them. And then the company just decided, all right, this is where we stand, and we're just gonna block this instead of just staying neutral. And they just removed his skin and just removed his basically partnership with the company, right?
So what happened is, right, Activision Blizzard had a Nick Berg skin in Call of Duty in their game, and then they just like removed that from being able to be played or something like that, because they were like, oh, he said something mean, and we don't want to affiliate with the person anymore, or whatever reasons they gave, right? I don't really think there are two sides to that story. I think it's just ridiculous. I mean, first of all, people I don't know, people just had that skin, right? People had that cosmetic, and then they're not allowed to use it anymore. I mean, that's like stupid. That's like another simple reason for like a Web3 company wouldn't do that, right? Like that asset just exists on chain. Okay, we can like talk about that. People can say, oh, that's like a grift argument. Of course, the company can just blacklist that item, yes, but then you undermine your whole company principles, so nobody's actually ever gonna do that. That's not really a real take.
Yeah, I don't think there is two sides to this either. I think the company was wrong for doing that. What I read meant there is like two sides for if you're pro or anti-woke. And I don't want to get into this discussion at all. I know there is. I know there's just.
I think you should leave the kids You should leave the kids alone, and the parents should be able to say the teachers like, don't tell my kid this.
Yeah, in this case, I agree as well, because school is there to teach like facts and stuff like that, right? They're not supposed to actually go into lean towards a political side and teach like I don't know if you want to get into that, but
it's like school is not supposed to be some propaganda indoctrination camp. I mean, I guess if you want to talk about how schools got invented and why, then maybe to some extent they are, sure, but they're not supposed to in modern times, at least.
Yeah.
Don't send your kids to public schools, guys. Don't do it.
Yeah, we got sidetracked a little bit. But yeah.
No, I don't know.
It's a tough conversation. Maybe we save that for another day. You're gonna be the anti-woke. I'm gonna be the pro-woke. I'm happy to take that. I'm happy to take that stance. But I'm so far removed from all this conversation, right? I don't even know what I'm talking. I'm basically talking out of my ass right now.
Don't say that when you don't actually know what you're saying.
No. I just said for the conversation's sake, I could try to steelman. I think you say that side and try to find arguments and stuff. I'm neither this side or the other side, because as soon as all of this came out and all this drama, especially I'm so far away from all the US stuff. Like this is basically comes from the US, right? All this tension. And as soon as all the drama started on social media, I just didn't listen. I went the other way and didn't want to hear, because this is just like people are just killing themselves over like, I don't know, opinions or whatever. Like I don't know. Like I said, I'm talking out of my ass. I don't have a stance, but if you ever want to get into this conversation, I can try to be the other side. So just you have something to bounce off on.
I mean, you can play devil's advocate. It's obviously fine, whatever, for the conversation's sake.
Yeah, but let's slowly retreat out of this again. And something you said earlier, which I wanted to come back on, because you said it's with the AI, where there is like less risk if you take like an AI girlfriend compared to actually putting yourself out there, trying to have social interactions, and actually risking to getting hurt by a real human, which is way more risky and way harder and takes more effort and everything than a few clicks. And I think we have seen this with porn, for example, and porn addiction, all of that. I think a lot of people just sustain their sexual needs by just watching online stuff, and maybe it's not that good as actual sex, but it's good enough for them to stay somewhat satisfied, and they don't need all this stress going out finding partners and so on. So I think it's very, very possible that that AI is going to go into that, and first it's going to just be online, and at one point, like we've seen a lot of robots these days who start doing real work, real people jobs and everything, and at one point it's going to be very likely that you just have a real life robot partner, which is crazy to think about, but it's not that far it's not that far away, I think.
I mean, that's like some dystopian stuff, essentially, right? I don't know. I think what's like the
well, let's say a dog. Like you have a robot dog. That's not so far away, right? That's gonna be there in a few years.
No, I mean the robot girlfriend is probably also not that far away, but or boyfriend as well. I mean, what is the good outcome of this is like people learn to socialize better and learn to talk better to other people with like no risk essentially attached, right? And then they gain more confidence and actually go out in the real world. And we don't have birth rates of 0. That would be the optimistic case, right? We actually increase birth rates again in the Western countries, so we don't collapse under shitty systems, basically. And
I would like to look the facts up. I have no idea how our birth rates are looking. Are we going towards distinction or what?
I mean, it depends on the country. Like Japan is really bad, China is really bad, a lot of Europe is really bad, the US is okay-ish. Yeah, I mean, average age in a lot of countries like China and Japan incredibly high as well. That's a big problem. Germany really high as well. US again, it's like not great, but it's not as bad. And then if you look at India population is very young, for example, that's very very positive.
So yeah, there's a good argument to be made. That's also already happening with online interactions with AI, that you're actually getting taught by the AI how to communicate better, how to actually socially interact without having, again, this risk, this fear, this anxiety about human interactions, which can be really big for some people, especially if you spend a lot of time gaming or in front of the computer. It's harder and harder for people to pick up all those social interactions in the real world. So this would be a good way for people to actually get back into it if they are like, oh, maybe next month I would like to go in a bar and drink a beer and try to talk to anybody. And they're like scared of that. And then they're just practice with an AI, basically, how to talk to humans again, or how to... well, they talk to humans online, but it's not the same. How to like have a real life conversation, I guess. But then again, it could go the other way, right? Where
that's the dystopian case, then basically.
Yeah, where it's actually way more fun to talk to the AI because they're just gonna do exactly, they're gonna please you or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if AI is like, if it's like similar to like a human, right? Like you can just like create like the perfect human that you want to be around with, right? And that like a real person cannot really compete with that, right? That is,
I think they can, but I think there is so much work involved to get that real person and to get that relationship to that point. Because, for example, like if you have a fight and you work through it through conversation and you both grow, the relationships grow, and over many like discussions or fights or whatever it is, like over hard work, you slowly but surely get to a state where you actually have that soulmate or that dream partner. But you kind of made that happen through hard work. It doesn't happen on its own usually. And I think with AI, you just skip the work part and just get right to the finished product.
Can't you just make that happen with AI as well? You
that's true.
You can have a fight with
but what's the point in AI if you actually have to have
like
a lot of work,
right?
Yeah, I get that. That's true.
No, I mean that also goes in the philosophical question of like what do we even consider like a conscience and like a person and whatever, right? Because if we say okay, AI is literally at the level where we just like interact with it like another human being, like what like is the difference between the AI and a human being then, right? It's like okay, the AI is like I don't know, humans is like some organic carbon based living thing, and the AI is I don't know, like a machine robot based thing. I wouldn't say electricity, but human brain also and nervous
Yeah.
system work with electricity. So yeah, it's like what, like organic carbon based humans versus I don't know, steel based AI at that point. Like what is like the philosophical difference there then?
I mean, I went to philosophy to the university for like 1-2 semesters before I just went only to parties and not anymore to the lessons. But I remember something that we know. I'm so paraphrasing. It's horrible, but like I know because I am, or like
Yeah, it's cogito ergo sum, it's Descartes, right? Like I think, therefore I am.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. but and it, like that was the original understanding of identity, but that can be faked or can also happen with AI at one point, right? So I don't know where
Yeah,
how
I
you can
mean,
make the differentiation.
I don't think that the car made like the original point, right? Like the car's only a couple hundred years ago. Pretty sure we can find some Socrates or
Yeah,
Platon comments on that as well. But they're like different takes in philosophy, like what considers you like being and existing and so on, right? But I think therefore I am is like, well, I mean, the AI can think. Like I
yeah,
think I can make that case pretty easily that AI
of
can think
course.
and do stuff. We don't even really know how it works, right? Like we essentially know, okay, we input this, then it does something black box. We have no idea what happens, and it gives us some output.
Yeah,
So it's like,
I,
I don't know.
I think one big factor is maybe pain to actually being scared, having pain, and not faking it, but really having it. But then again, you could like just giving a shock or something. I don't know, but stuff like this, like real.
Yeah, I guess the organic part is like the big differentiator at that point.
Yeah, I guess because
But
pain is kind of organic, right? Maybe you
maybe,
could
probably.
maybe the pain of losing data or whatever. If I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess emotions,
Yeah,
emotions
it
would be
comes
at
down
some
to the
point that,
emotions.
but it's like, well, does the AI also have emotions or not? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah, I
guess
think
fear is a big one.
the I think therefore I am thing, that's pretty powerful argument for AI is conscious, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's real, right? That yeah. It,
No, that's
it
interesting.
it's super interesting. And then it kind of goes into how into rights of AI, and I think this is a very interesting topic. Like, what rights is an AI or should an AI have? Like, at one point, do you have like not only human rights but AI rights? And you,
It's like that's like the crazy future that we will probably live to see.
yeah. Wow, I'm flashed. Would you like to have a robot dog?
Uh,
Is-
I mean, currently, yes, because I wouldn't have like the time to take care of a organic dog, so to say.
Same.
But yeah, I would have like the robot dog. Yeah, sure, why not?
Because I would love a dog, but I want to still travel a lot, which is a pain in the ass with a dog. And it's also like a little baby, right? You have to take so much care of it. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no,
it's
my parents literally last week got a new dog. And yeah, like it's gonna take a lot of time, and the dog has to also get used to like sometimes being alone for a little bit and things like that. And yeah,
yeah,
and traveling is restricted again as well to some extent. Like I can't just be, I don't know, I can't just go to my parents. It's just like I don't know, fly somewhere next weekend. It's like somebody has to take care of the dog, right?
yeah. And if there's just an off button on that dog, that makes stuff a lot easier. Right, I think we went deep enough in the AI.
Yeah, sure.
I have another one right here. And we had this last week. We had a pirate software reel. I think it's one of the fastest growing, like out of nowhere he came and has like millions of views on every reel. And I think he has a lot of good takes. I really like his, like how he's explaining like working with Blizzard under Blizzard and all of his, like he has a lot of expertise in very specific fields, which is super interesting to people. And he has also a lot of like very motivational stuff, like for indie game devs and for like the other day I saw one where he's just talking about everybody has to keep learning. He's also talking about AI and the only way, or no matter what happens, if you keep learning, if you keep improving, you're gonna have a bright future and stuff like this. So I respect him, but he has some weird takes on blockchain and crypto and stuff like this, and that's what we had a segment about that last week, and I found another one, so I wanted to come back to that and have a look at this one. Wait, give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull it up right here. Have you seen many of his stuff before I showed you this, or?
No, not really. I'm not watching a lot of YouTube in general myself. I'm mainly like, I don't know, listening to more like educational things or informative things, or like of like finance and I guess like geopolitical stuff and so on, which obviously relates to finance most of the time. Or like philosophical, psychological stuff. Really interested in that.
Yeah, I should watch more educational stuff. I really like podcasts and stuff when you're driving, because you, instead of listening to music, you actually like self-improving, learning stuff, and that's a really good thing. But usually when I go on YouTube, I watch a lot of trash, a lot of entertainment. It's kind of like TV, but also with the approach that I want to become better at being a YouTuber and making videos and stuff like that. So I do this for work. I have this excuse now for everything. When I'm gaming, I'm working. When I'm watching YouTube, I'm working. I'm always working. Even when I'm not. My girlfriend is laughing in the corner.
Not wrong.
She's doing the same. She's on Instagram. I'm working. I'm looking at stuff for my business. All right, I got it right here, and it starts with a banger.
Stupid that they keep.
Wait.
Bro didn't even get.
The crypto community is so stupid that they keep taking their decentralized currency and putting it up on centralized exchanges and then being like, why me thefted? Why this happened? You're literally taking your decentralized thing and putting it on a central location that doesn't have FDIC insurance like a bank would, and then going, oh no, my thing's stolen from the central location that I put them on for my decentralized... What are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Stop that. And
that's it. That's his take on the FTX. I think that happens.
No, like what is he fundamentally saying, right? He's fundamentally saying if you put valuable assets onto a, I don't know, counterparty risk situation, and then that counterparty risk happens and you lose your stuff, well, you're stupid. Okay, that's not necessarily a stupid thing to say or think. There's nothing really wrong with that. I guess the points are like, okay, are people aware of the risks that they are taking when FTX is like the most prominent example, right? Are people aware of the risks they are taking when they put money on FTX, for example? Are they aware it's not insured and so on and so on? So I'm like, okay, maybe some were aware of that. Maybe some were not aware of that. Maybe some were like, so to say, greedy for some APY that's maybe higher there than somewhere else and so on. We've seen that with like Star Atlas losing 100 million because they wanted to greet 4% APY, right? It's like a pretty stupid thing to do as a company. Just it's a pretty stupid thing to do, period, right? Like we don't have to say this about, oh, this is like a crypto community is stupid. Like people are putting money in places where they can lose it, where there's risk involved for them to make some return, or like money similar assets, right? Like I think that's not necessarily an anti-crypto or a crypto community take, because like go and ask Michael Saylor or I don't know, Anthony Pompliano, Robert Breedlove. Go and ask like all the especially Bitcoin people, right? They're going to tell you you should self-custody your things. You should not hold something on a centralized exchange because then you have counterparty risk. That you don't want to have counterparty risk. I live in Germany. I think if I put more than 100K on my bank account, well, my bank account is insured up to 100K. I think that's from government or whatever. And if the bank goes under, which a bank can go under, or if I have like $1 million there, well, bad luck. I only have 100K that they will eventually give me. So it's like counterparty risk exists. You should be aware of it. And what I really dislike about the way that he's like framing and saying this, he's essentially shitting on people who were probably not very knowledgeable and were just lost a bunch of money to bad actors. Like I think that's a shitty thing to do. Like you're just like making fun. Ha! You guys are so stupid. You got scammed. It's like, okay, should I make fun of people who got scammed? I don't know.
And I really agree there with you, because I said I respect him, but I lost a lot of respect when I saw this, because this seems like just catering to his audience, which is gamers, which hate Web3 usually. So he's just trying to cater to the algorithm or whatever, to just do it for the views. And he's not, like you say, you can make this point about a lot of things, and it seems like he's just trying to shit on a specific community because his community wants to see that. And then again, it seems like he's shitting in the crypto community, he's shitting on the people who had bad luck, who were not knowledgeable, and who basically got scammed, right? And
yeah, I mean, we like, I mean, FTX obviously did like illegal things.
Yeah.
That is why what like Sam Bankman-Fried is in jail at this point. You could have that, like you just take a counterparty risk, right? You could have had a counterparty risk if you go to like a traditional investment company as well, probably to some extent, right? Like I'm not like depending on the country you live in and so on, right? Like he, for example, said like FDIC insured and so on. Okay, as like a USA example. Like go to other companies where you can do stuff with your money. There's probably something that can go wrong in some way where people can get scammed and lose money and so on and so on and so on. So like people have to be aware of counterparty risks and just risks in general that they take, right? And if people are aware and they make those decisions and then they lose money on it, well, that sucks for them. That's yeah, I mean, I think it's always like a fair thing to say, but there's like so much bad actor stuff in crypto. It's like, okay, I don't disagree with that, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything negative about like the technology period, right? It's like I got a bunch, I don't know, I can remember first mobile phones or emails or internet websites and so on. You would do like a wrong click and the antivirus software wasn't as good as today, and that could be really bad for you, right? Or credit card numbers being stolen, and like there's like so much stuff that people can do if they have malicious intents, right? Like these things with like running, like now all of I don't have my wallet next to me, right? But wallets have these like layers in them, so somebody cannot just like, I don't know, have some like scanning device and just swipes over your like just reads the credit card out. Yeah, like shit like that exists. It's like, I don't know.
That's smart.
People gonna do like bad actor shit, like if they have the option. Like you cannot just say you should never use a credit card again or a debit card because somebody can like swipe like over it and steal it. Or
it's basically with every new technology, especially in the beginning of a new technology, you have a lot of bad actors. Like you said, think back of the early days, and even now, internet. We just learned to navigate it. But the internet was full of scams. That was like probably 50% of the whole thing was just scams, because people didn't know how to use it, and therefore it was easy to scam them. And that's what all Web3 was about. The problem there was that it was, I guess, more connected to investment and to money. So people lost more and got scammed on a bigger scale, I guess. And it got just more viral, I guess, because the internet was already there. So the Web3 kind of scammed Web2. And that's why Web2 exploded with letting everybody know Web3 is a scam.
It's
and
like
I don't know. Before that, you would have had telephones, and everybody you would get once a week. You would get a call, and you're just like, no, I'm not gonna give you anything. And we learned to navigate it. And I don't know.
It's like the Wolf of Wall Street movie, right? where you like, I don't know,
Yeah,
you watch
exactly.
that? Yeah, it's like the guy is
Yeah.
essentially just like calling people and like not scamming them per like say, right? He's not like directly scamming them, but he's like talking them into like shitty investments where he is benefiting more than likely the person he's like calling to, right? And he's just talking people into these like penny stock investments, which is like very high risk investments, obviously. And people are just like, yo, I can get rich quick. Nice. I want to get rich quick, right? Like, what are these scams in crypto that are working nowadays? You have to act now. Click this link and you will get something for free. And people are like, oh my God, I have to click it now. It's like, obviously, that's going to be a scam, but people are just like easily to be manipulated if they have like they want to get rich quick, right? They won't want to like work or put effort into things, or they don't want to like do any of that. Just get rich quick, get money quick. And yeah, that has been a very crypto narrative, right? Just get really really rich very very quickly. And people just are not educated enough to understand a lot of the risks associated with that, because realistically speaking, like, you're not getting taught that at school. You're not getting taught that by your parents to some extent as well, because like a lot of financial investing stuff, that's not necessarily the like majority of society, right? Like not everybody or not everybody's parents are well off enough to be like, let's talk about stocks or investing or
Mm.
this or that, right? Like if you just live wage to wage, month to month, or you save some cash, like you're not thinking about those things. And then somebody tells you, yo, you can get rich really really quick with the little bit of cash you have. They're going to be like, oh my god, this is like so cool, let's do this.
Yeah.
So it's just preying on uneducated people, or uneducated, wait, I said uneducated, how do I say this like in a not like negative frame, like people who are just like privy to just being like gaslit into scams and things like that, right?
Naive.
Naive, yeah, naive
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I don't think naive is too bad of a word. Um, yeah, it's like, help me. I'm a Saudi Arabian prince, and all my money is locked up in this bank account. Just give me 10,000, then I can unlock it and send you all my money. Like now we laugh about it, but I'm sure I don't know how. I don't want to know how big the number was of people that clicked on that link back in the days, right? And I guess there is a point to be made where all this shit talk about Web3 is a good thing, because now everybody knows there is scam out there, which should have been obvious from the first place, but now everybody knows. And same happened with Web2, with the original internet, where a bunch of people got scammed and everybody talked about it. And then everybody kind of knew this, like the news went viral. Same like the thing, oh, in your sleep you eat 5 spiders or something in a year or whatever. I don't know if you ever heard that, but that was just, that was in the beginning of the internet. I don't know where and who and when, but I'm pretty sure that like that this information was just put out there to test the virality of the early days of the internet, and suddenly was common knowledge around the world. So what I want to get is that I think it's good, but also at one point we just got to leave that behind us, still educate people about that there is a lot of scams, but then finally use the technology that we have at our hands and use it for the better, because it's amazing technology. Same was the real internet. Imagine just because of this Saudi Arabian prince, we wouldn't use the internet, man. Like that's the same. Why we shouldn't throw away Web3 just because of FTX or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like I can find like a lot of companies that probably scam people out of a lot of financial investments.
Yeah.
That is probably not going to be too difficult, actually.
Yeah.
FTX is just like a very prominent one, obviously. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think Web3, especially now, like a lot of the like bad actor or like utopian idea stuff is like essentially washed out, right? Like everything that's been here and developing products for a couple of years at this point, like you can just look at, okay, these are companies around for a couple of years and they have developed and delivered this and that and so on. And I can look at this. It's like what bad comment can you make that? Like you can say, oh, this is like overall bad and this and that. It's like, okay, but like this is a company, this is what they made. Like what do you want to say against that, right? It's just like once there are products that people use, that's the main thing, right? Like you need a product that is in somebody's hand and their use case, and then they understand it. It's like I can take my iPhone, right? It's like, well, once people had an iPhone in their hand, they were like, yeah, I want the smartphone thing, right? I want this iPhone. And here we are, Apple is the biggest company in the world.
Yeah.
It's like you make a good product and people are going to use and buy it. And they don't really care if the television told them you're going to get cancer if you use this Wi-Fi phone thingy. They're like, yeah, I mean, you're just like bullshitting. I'm not going to get cancer. And this is like pretty cool, so I'm going to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically with everything. It was there in the beginning with AI, with smartphones, with internet, with every new technology. First, there's a lot of, you don't want to change, right? You want to stay with what you know, what you're familiar with. And then once people are like, hey, I actually did that and it was amazing. And then you try it out and yeah, it's get picked up very soon. And I think we're in a really interesting time right now because we are on the verge of all those Web3 companies that have been developing over the last years coming out, be it like AAA games that we see, for example, with Illuvium and some others. I'm not looking at any other ones really. I'm happy with just Illuvium, but yeah, there's a lot of different niches where a lot of really good products have been developed over the last years, and I think in the future months, years, we'll see that, and people are gonna use them and have it actually in their hand. And then
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
sorry.
No, I was.
No, okay. I'm not even sure if people are really afraid of change and new products, or if it's just like you obviously have companies that are gonna lose pretty hard from this new thing. Just like lobby against it. It's like,
All right, yeah,
like obviously Blockbuster didn't like Netflix. Obviously, I don't know, newspaper didn't like the internet, and the Post didn't like email, and I don't know, like landline. Oh no, not landline. Like a lot of phone companies didn't like smartphones or wireless phones, or and so on and so on. Or what is like Canon is a good example of stuff like that as well, right? Where Canon essentially said they had the digital camera first, but they were like, now we're making so much money selling like film to people, we don't want to have this digital camera product like there. And somebody else makes it, and then they're like, oh, well, they're late and nobody's buying their film anymore. Everybody's just buying digital cameras then. So
yeah.
like
That's
you
a good
can
point.
lobby against the product because you're currently profitizing of like something that is then gonna made probably useless to some extent, right? Or like a lot of other very successful people in business have realized, well, if there's a new thing, you just gotta adapt to it and you gotta use it, right? We see that in a lot of companies where they're just on top of these things and they're like, okay, this is gonna harm my business, so I have to adapt to it. And the ones that don't adapt or don't want to adapt, like they're obviously just gonna lobby against the new thing, right?
Yeah, we've seen that with so many things. Like for example, hemp. It was like it would have brought the nylon industry completely out of business, and they were hardcore lobbying against it and devilizing it. And suddenly it was like, I don't know. Everybody heard the stories back in the what was it? Really early days of USA, where suddenly marijuana was like the drug that black people take, and then they rape your family or something. Like there was like crazy commercials online, and suddenly after over like 5 years of brainwashing, suddenly this was like this bad drug, and before that nobody even talked about it. And it just came from because it was an existential threat to one of the biggest industries in the world, to the nylon industry. And then we have like electric cars that probably there was prototypes like 20 years ago, but yeah, it's kind of scary when you're in the forefront of this technology and you're actually an inventor of an electrical car 20 years ago. You're probably gonna get killed because there's a lot of money behind
Actually,
the other side.
oil and gas is financing a lot of electric car stuff, right? Because they are
Yeah,
aware
now.
that it doesn't. They are just like aware that it doesn't work anyways. So they're like, yeah, go do it. Like there's not enough raw material and there's not enough electricity in the grid, and like
Yeah,
so
it's
many
not the
issues.
solution to our problem with fossil burning. Like
No, I just mean from like a sense, like electric cars are not gonna like make non-electric cars like rendered useless or extinct or something. Like that's just not reality. It's like why yeah, like the I don't know, the energy conversation is like, I guess, an entirely different one.
yeah. Well, we can save that for another one as well. Well, we can dive into it. I'm not very knowledgeable, I think. Maybe I couldn't bring back another point to get 4 electrical cars. Why? That would help.
I mean, no, that's just like fundamental problems, right? That's like you just like need too much raw material. Like the idea that everybody is going to use electric car, right? Like all these rare earth things that just like we don't have enough of that anyways. So that just like doesn't work.
Is
It's
it
just
about
a utopian idea.
kind of where the batteries, after all,
Yeah.
take more resources than you're actually saving.
Yeah, I mean, you're not actually saving resources. Like
Yeah.
the way, like even from this like carbon idea, which like is like whatever bullshit. But like even from that idea, like you have to, I don't know, dig up all the rare earth and metals and everything you need, and you have to produce it. Which is worse than if you just like use the cars that exist, for example,
Yeah.
or if you just like make like efficient ways of just making the cars that we currently have, right?
Yeah.
And
We're
then I don't know
too deep
the
in it.
whole, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just like a really. I mean, I think it's like a really stupid topic in a lot of sense because like I come from both like a math background and I'm really fascinated by math, and it's like in math, if you start assuming something wrong, you can prove like everything correct. If I just start with a wrong assumption, then like 1 + 1 is 10,000, and that is like most of these like I don't know, climate activist takes where they just like start with like a wrong thing and then they just prove whatever ideas that they have from it.
Yeah.
As
Is that called gaslighting?
I think it's just called propaganda and lying.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
Like I mean, I don't know, like what, like we are supposed to have like the 10th ice age and the 50th 100-meter tsunami and coastal areas flooded. Nothing has happened. Every single time when like an economist has taken like bets or comments against the against those ideas, the economist was always correct. Like all these things, like, are we going to run out of this and that, and this bad thing is going to happen? Like nothing has ever happened, and we haven't run out of anything.
Yeah. I heard a really good take on a podcast where it was like these two sides, like I'm paraphrasing again, but anyway, it boiled down to that it's really bad, all the stuff that has been happening where like doomsday, we are gonna die if we don't do this and that. And everybody, like the whole new generation was so paralyzed by the idea that the world is gonna end in 50 years that they're actually not actively trying to do something good in the present because it's all gonna go to shit anyway. So even if it was the case, which is probably not gonna be the case, it's just paralyzing the current situation because of this doom vision that's going to happen in whatever 50 years or whatever.
I mean, that doom vision that's going to happen in 50 years was foretold 50 years ago already.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen, and it won't happen in the next 50 or 100 years as well. That's just there's no objective evidence for that to happen, right? Like the whole idea of that's what I meant with like false like ideas that they go by with. It's like, oh, the world average temperature has gotten warmer, therefore all of those things are going to happen because these things have happened in the last 100 years. It's like, well, temperature has gone up in the last, like 120 years, yes. Before that, it was going down for thousands of years in a row. If we want to go back like even further, it was tremendously warmer than it currently is. If we want to go back millions of years, there weren't even like North and South Pole, right? That there was no ice there. Yeah. And we have like a whole big continent, one land mass, and not the ones that we have. It's like it's a lot has happened, and just trying to draw this conclusion of like this one event has happened, like it's like warmer than it was 100 years ago, and it's colder than it was 500 years ago, for example, right now. Therefore, it's like, well, no, those are just like facts that happen. That doesn't mean that there has to be a conclusion to it. Not conclusion, connection to it.
I would like just real life solutions, like current solution, present solutions. Instead of trying to do this and that for the next 20 years, just accept what's going to happen next year and try to find a solution now for the things that's going to happen in the immediate future, and try to really be proactive about some things. For example, the temperature is rising, right? And if the temperature rises, the water level rises, and maybe Bangkok is going to go underwater. Well, maybe try to build a dam around Bangkok instead of trying to fix the heat that's rising.
So far, nothing has gone underwater. There's also like a take. It's like, I don't know, is it guaranteed gonna go underwater? Is the temperature gonna keep rising? Is that? It's like, well, I mean, first of all, we don't even know if humans have any impact on that, right? That's another assumption. Like, this has happened because of human industrialization. How do you know that? Like again, 500 years it was warmer than now. 1,000 years ago it was even warmer, and so on. Like,
Yeah.
you don't even have the correlation that this is humanly done, and you don't have the correlation that this has negative impact, because it is changing things. Yes, like undoubtedly, yes. Is it changing to the negative or to the positive? Because we have a lot of areas in the world where vegetation was like in these in between, like oh, I forgot the name about the how the zones are called, but it's essentially we have more green right now than ever before. Why? Because it's warmer. If it's warmer and there's more like CO2, that's good for plants. That means more plants are growing. That plants need CO2, for example.
Yeah.
And plants like the warmth, so that is actually positive for a lot of those things, right? Is it positive in every place in the earth? Is it positive in every like geographical location? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Probably in some it's going to be good, and some it's going to be bad. But it's like, again, like we don't know if humans did that. Like that is not a certain, and we don't know if we can do anything about it. That's like another uncertain thing, and we don't know if it's negative, right? That's
Yeah.
like what you said. Like you just like, okay, this is how it is, and we accept how it is, and we see what we can do about it. And
Yeah, because
yeah.
you said, do we know if the water goes up? I mean, we kind of can know with a somewhat certainty that the next few years it's going to get warmer, right? It's not going to suddenly flip 180. Like
Yeah,
we have
when you
a
say
high
like, look at,
percentage
like
chance.
this, yeah, but like sea levels weren't rising, right? Like
But
the argument, like
wouldn't it
sea level is gonna
wouldn't it
go.
automatically rise if climate goes up, more ice melts, and sea goes up? Isn't that like the direct correlation of that?
You probably need like a lot of melting ice to actually increase sea levels, and
Yeah. Well, if it is the case or not, but yeah,
it's also the case of like by what extent? Like is it like a few centimeters? Okay, like
well, if
who
something
cares
is
about a few
on sea level, a
centimeters?
few centimeters, or like your living room is flooded. And that's what I mean. Like, just accept what's going to happen in the next 5 years and work on the solution now. Like, accept what you know it's going to happen. Don't try to figure out why it's happening, what's going to be over the next 100 years or whatever. Take the facts and solve them. And don't be paralyzed by this doomsday vision of we are destroying the planet and all our gases going up. It takes like 20 years to reach the ozone, so we're like 20 years behind of actually fighting all the things that people want to fight. It doesn't make sense. Like it's just paralyzing us, I think.
It's just untrue claims. It's like these claims that have been made 20 years ago, and then it's like nothing happened, and then again and again and again. Like every time these claims have been made of this is going to run out or this is going to get worse and so on and so on. It never actually happened. And that's always been the economist take on it, because people like, yes, we need more of something, but we also just find more efficient ways of just getting that resource. It's like even now, like if we figure out how we can, like, I don't know, access 10,000 meters deep sea level things, like was probably a lot of stuff down there that we can use on rare metals and oil and whatnot. Like we're not necessarily going to run out of that. Eventually we can go in space and grab stuff we need from space and so on. It's like none of that is probably too far away to a level where we're going to go extinct, and this, it's like no.
Yeah, and especially
like
because
no real data point ever has proven any of this to be correct. There's always been some doomsday stuff, and there was never actually a proof for that. It's like some idiot making like a thesis that starts on like a wrong assumption, and then it just doesn't happen. And again and again and again and again, like it just over all the decades, it never has happened.
And I guess also a point for that is that our technology is increasing, developing at an exponential rate, right? Since we have computers. Like if you watch like the whatever the first one was, steam engine, then maybe how's it called, like the manufacturers, Ford and everything, whatever. Like it takes like 100 years for the industrial revolution, then it takes like suddenly 50 years, and since we have the computers, it's like now with AI everything is exponentially growing, so we're gonna find exponentially faster those solutions with the technology, and at one point we're gonna get ahead of the curve. And I wanted to circle back to something. For example, things that I'm scared of is, for example, things you can actually measure. For example, how much plastic is in a fish, or how much, you know, like pollution. I think that's a big problem. I think that's undeniable. I don't think there is, you can take another take on it, that we have like rivers full of plastic and trash and everything and stuff like this. Like, find solutions for that, where we actually know the fact that now we suddenly have in water, we have actually whatever it is, 10 micrograms of plastic that we're drinking. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I don't think
I mean,
it's probably bad.
we can probably fairly assume that drinking plastics is not a good thing, right? I guess
Yeah.
like it's the same to the other point, where you always have to, you cannot just point to like one bad thing and then say this is horrible. We have to stop this at all costs, right? Because there's usually some sort of trade-off as well. Like there's like, okay, we improve this over here, and then it has maybe this other negative consequence or something. Now, I'm not super knowledgeable on plastic levels in water and a lot of those things. But yeah, I guess like it's always the comparison, right? Like you have to look at, I don't know, quality of life increasing, and how does quality of life improve? I don't know, average length of a life and average like
That's a good
day to
point.
day, and so on and so on and so on. Like how do all these things that like do have some negative impacts as well? How do they impact life at other areas? Because it's like I guess like an interesting point, right? It's like the best way to like in theory take care of the planet, and like air quotes so to say, would be to make everybody wealthier. Because if you have like I think it's like 5k per year, 5k USD per year income per capita in a country, that country then, or the people in that country, start thinking far more about the next generation and the future in general. Like they think about, okay, maybe I should not dump all this plastic and garbage into this river, because I'm gonna need this river next generation, or my grandchildren or great grandchildren will need this. Therefore, I cannot just screw this up. But if you're poor and you have to live from hand to mouth day to day, and you don't know where your next meal is coming from and so on, you won't care if this river is going to be there 10 years in the future.
Yeah.
Like you have to increase the wealth of everybody essentially, and then people are going to have a far more long-term view on things. And that's the thing that like all of this environmentalism stuff oftentimes gets wrong, where they just want to make people more poor instead of making them wealthier. And if people would be wealthier, they would think of like, okay, I want to take care of this. I want this in the future. I want this nice place to be preserved. But if people are poor, they're like, well, how do I eat tomorrow? And they
Yeah.
don't care about any of the other ideas or goals, especially like 100 year in the future stuff.
That's very valid. Yeah, that's very true. And first, I thought we're gonna make a point that because we have all this pollution, all this trash, this is a byproduct of all the technology and all the steps forward we have taken. This is a bad side product, that we have increased trash and all of that.
Mhm.
And I was almost gonna see that point, but then I kind of think we're just lazy and just like, I don't know, maybe once you're, not that the poor people are lazy and that's why in India all the rivers are full of, nothing against Indians, but that's where my mind pops to an image of an Indian river full with plastic. I think it was what's the main river?
Ganges.
Ganges. Thank you. But like when you're rich, yes, you take more care about your bubble, about your surrounding when you're wealthier, and about the future for your kids and everything. But you're not suddenly seeing the bigger point that poorer people in other countries, maybe I should try to help their trash problem, because this is also affecting my bubble in a long way. So we're trying to better our surroundings, but not really better the whole thing.
Yeah, it's
And
like especially in Europe or countries like Germany, where they're like, we have to do this to CO2 and this and so on. It's like, I mean, I don't know, just look at all the poor countries in the world. They don't care. They don't care about that their cars are very
course not, yeah.
inefficient and so on. Like they, unless you make them essentially richer, like the, I don't know, next -5% thing that's gonna cost insane amounts of money and probably won't do anything, that you try to like push by ideological political agenda, not by some economical standards, like that's not going to change anything. And that's like a mark that's just getting missed, right? And they always reason this with like, oh, we're gonna be the guy that shows them how to do it. It's like, no, they don't care. Like, do you think China is gonna care? Do you think like poor countries are gonna care? No, it's like they care for like going through this process that like Europe and America and so on went through, where they just got wealthier and they got richer using all of those technologies. And unless they get to that point as well, like no matter what, I don't know, you say, you don't change their behavior unless you like try to do it by force, which then we can argue, well, that's probably not a good way to take either.
100%. Yeah, I was saying that wrong, where the wealthy people should solve their problems, but no, they should just enable them a way to get healthy on their own, and then they're gonna solve their own problems. You don't need to be their problem solver. You just, yeah. I guess this circles back to capitalism in a way where
Capitalism fixes this easy, but like too many people are too ideological. So,
but cannot every fitness person going to the Starbucks affording a recyclable coffee cup just afford that because there is being trash thrown away on the other side of the world? Like, doesn't capitalist all the good stuff happening on one side just happen because it's taken away from the other side?
I don't think anyone is like, I mean, we can go to like what like history things and so on, and why countries prospered and other countries didn't prosper and so on. But like, I mean, what fundamentally happened? Like the countries that just did better just prospered better, right? The countries that had better economies, better leaders, better innovations and ideas, and
I guess we only have to go back to
social structures and whatever. Like they just like are better off at the moment. And you look at countries that didn't invent anything, that didn't have like work ethics, that I don't know, just didn't try to accomplish those things, and they're just not that well off at this point, I guess. Like you can teach them how to be better off, right? Like you can bring a better law to them. That's a big issue in what Africa, for example, where just like in Germany or in most of Europe and the US, if I want to like go and found my own company, right? I want to like make a business. It takes me like a few minutes, right? I go somewhere, or maybe I online fill out a form and like, bam, I have a business license. You cannot do that in all of African countries. There's just too much political problems and issues there. Then there's a lot of issues on getting goods into the country or exporting and importing things, right? So political systems that are just bad are preventing a lot of the poorer countries to just get better because, well, yeah, that's the problem. And it's not really like, I don't know, because we live the way we live, that's not the reason that their political system sucks. Or that's not the reason that I don't know, just the way like their society has developed over the last years has sucked. Like that's not our fault.
But isn't that kind of similar to what we had earlier with lobbyism, where just one side prevents the other side? And that, like, I'm not saying that the individuals prevent the individuals from the other side, but just the overarching dominating government or the dominating countries just are exploiting other countries. Like you said, how far we have to go back? Probably just to colonialism. Fuck, I'm so bad with some words in English. You say it.
Colonization times?
Yeah, let's say colonization.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
well,
like,
they invented weapons first. They invented ships first, so they could go around the world, colonize all the countries, and basically get all the resources, get wealthier, and build up from there. And now those countries are mostly Western countries are just ahead of everybody else. And then they also have the power to also influence in the back to not really let them. Maybe some countries would have been at our standard now and that are from Africa, but maybe the white man was in between that, or the money was in between that. I don't know.
I mean, that kind of just goes to the point again, though, of like, I don't know, like the people that just had that were further ahead, I guess, in like developing useful products and better social constructs and so on. They just conquered the world, right?
Yeah.
Like you had the Dutch pretty much invented capitalism in the 16th century, and the Dutch were like the world power, and they had the world reserve currency, and they went to conquer a lot of parts of the world
Yeah.
because they just were a very, very successful and good working country. And like what would have happened if we did, like what would have happened if we didn't go to those countries, right? Like the US, the Native Americans, I mean, they didn't even know how to ride a horse, and they almost extincted buffaloes because they killed like 50 and then they ate one, and 49 were just left to rot and so on. Like they were obviously not at a as prosperous society level as a lot of Europe was, for example, or
No, I see the reason behind it and why it happened. I'm also not trying to blame anybody, or I don't want to get like into the ideological discussion about it. I'm just trying to say that maybe these days an African country or a native or whatever is actually not at a disadvantage anymore. Everybody has caught up to speed of the Western work ethics or whatever it was that made us thrive in the first place. And now everybody would actually have the same chances, but it's still not happening anywhere else. Like with AI, with internet and everything,
right? Like it slowly is happening. You have people working with like a lot of like more poor countries, governments around the world, essentially bringing them just better law structures for a lot of economical things, right? It's not like that nothing is happening. It's just a lot of countries just have like poor setups for things, right? Like Argentina now has Milei as president, right? And obviously Milei is a controversial person as well, but I don't know. He wants to. He's an economist. He wants to make the country more efficient again. He wants to get rid of a lot of useless spending from the government. He wants to just make the country and make everybody more prosperous, right? Like that's a person who might accomplish that because he wants to do a lot of reforms and a lot of changing things. And Argentina used to be like far better, like on a prosperous world stage level in like the last 100 years than it is right now. And we can argue like, yeah, a lot of that is probably just very useless government spending and just useless jobs and so on that were created. And now we have somebody that might get rid of it. And now like people actually voted that person into power, right? It's the same, like at some point, either you have to vote somebody into power that's going to change the country for the better, or you need some kind of revolution or whatnot, basically. And I mean, that's what happened in a lot of the Western countries as well, right? A lot of the Western countries are in better positions because they have, at some point or another, at least put better leaders in positions. And we can argue if there are good or bad leaders at the moment in a lot of Western countries, and we can argue how that is probably maybe gonna change in the next years because things have not been as prosperous recently. So people are a lot more educated and aware of it now in our generation at the moment, right? It's like right on inflation and things like that in the 70s and 80s. That was a pretty hot topic. As economical things were far more relevant and far more like taught about and talked about as well than in recent decades. Why? Because recent decades were just like really easy and good times. So people were just like, yeah, whatever. And then things usually get to like, you get like the more socialist, stupid governments that just promise people free stuff and this and that. And like they just promise unrealistic things. And then they get to power and then things go worse. And then people realize, okay, it's unrealistic stuff. We need somebody that actually makes good politics again. Good economical based politics, I guess.
So it comes back to, how is that saying? Hard times. Right.
Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times. Hard times. Yeah.
There we go. I guess it makes sense, right? And it has been proven over the past.
Yeah.
Hey, we went off on a rant here, on a tangent. I also forced this a little bit because we didn't prepare enough topics, so we just had to freestyle, and we both like to talk about this, I feel like, and I really enjoy this conversation a lot. Even though I'm not as educated, I still like to really talk about it, and I think you're very educated about a lot of stuff, and I really like this spinning off ideas and just like things that pop in my head. I can like bounce it off of you, and you come back with some facts. That's cool. I don't mind being the dummy in this conversation.
I mean, I had too much time on my hand in recent years, so I had to like become
Yeah.
smarter. Was the easy thing to do. Just too much. Like I'm just like waiting for a lot of like Web3 gaming related things, right? And I was just like, okay, there's not much more to do in Hearthstone. Like I'm done with that. And I was like, I could look into TFT or not, but at the time I was like, it's not looking that great. At the moment, I would be like, TFT looks amazing. I would actually look into that more. But now we're like pretty close to like a bunch of Web3 games coming out, and Illuvium, which I think is gonna be like a mainstream success. I'm not gonna like moonboy this, right? I don't think like, oh, okay, open beta hits, bam, 10 million players, a billion revenue. Like, it's probably not gonna be that, but it's like the game that is the furthest along in development out of all the like things that seem promising in like the Web3 landscape, I believe. So I think that is just gonna be like doing really, really well in the first few months of it being just open beta already. And yeah, we're like pretty close to that. So now I have a lot less time to listen to a lot of less podcasts about energy and economy and the world politics and so on.
Hey, but that's cool. Like, you had a lot of time at your hands, and other people jump into drugs or whatever, and you jumped into actually educating yourself. Like, I appreciate that. That's a good way of doing it. And yeah, actually, we could have talked a little bit more about Illuvium. I also don't want to moonboy it, but I'm just genuinely really stoked about it. I've been in the project like you for years, and I know the team. I know every single little stone in the game and in the project. And I just know it's a good product. And if you have a good product, very, very likely there's gonna come success over the long run. I'm also not saying, hey, it releases, boom, we have all TFT players logging into Illuvium. But over time, over month, more people, same like with the iPhone, are gonna get their hand on the product, gonna see it's actually a really good product. And I think that's the best way to success, and that's why I'm in here. And we are at the 1.5 hour mark, which we wanted to meet last time. And I think it's a good point to call it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot of things today. I was like,
a lot of things indeed.
Pretty interesting talking points. A lot of stuff.
Yeah. We went around the world. I kind of like that we freestyle. We can keep this segment.
Yeah.
We do like a few ideas, and then we have to come up with something.
A lot of Greta fanboys are gonna hate me now. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have to rewatch, but I think we're just gonna upload it as it is. We don't want to cut out anything usually.
Yeah, it's fine.
And this time we also didn't have any interruptions or anything, so that makes my job a little bit easier with editing. And yeah, as always, guys, let us know what you think. We always want to farm your engagement, obviously, and you know what you gotta do, right? Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Because if you like the content, you want to see more, you actually have to please the algorithm to help this whole project. Thank you very much, and thank you, Viper. And we're gonna be back next week, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Sweet. Peace.